What is going on, YouTube? This is Jim back with another video, and hopefully you guys just got done watching my World of Warcraft first look at the 15th anniversary collector's edition statue of Ragnaros. If you haven't, you should check it out. Now, what I want to talk about though in this video is why this is so important. Why World of Warcraft is so important to me, and why I think a lot of us loved classic Warcraft so much. Now, I, like many other PC gamers, definitely sunk my teeth into World of Warcraft early. I stuck with it well into Warlords of Draenor. And really, even by then, I was kind of starting to back off a little bit. The game had changed radically from when I started playing back in vanilla. And I remember just a lot of good things about it. I remember a lot of bad things about it. But nostalgia is a very, very powerful drug. And I think a lot of what is going on right now, and I think why Blizzard is really, really singing to the roots of their company, is because of Diablo Immortal and because of how bad Blizzcon was last year. And I think what better way than to get the fans, the crazy fans who have the artwork plastered all around their walls of Diablo stuff, what better way than to get those fans back in, reinvigorate the base, rebuild the company's image, which I'm not saying is tarnished beyond belief, but let's face it, Blizzard's had a rough year. So what better way to do it than with Warcraft, the game that really put them on the map? And yes, I know World of Warcraft didn't come until later, but what an adventure that game was. There are so many good memories so many of us have from World of Warcraft, and I just like to share a few of mine and tell you guys why I think this game might not be for everybody, but will definitely be for a lot of us. I am a definitely recovering Warcraft addict. I played a ton of that game. I used to raid with guys on the West Coast going to bed at about 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern, waking up in the middle of the night when they were starting to raid, raiding with them till 3 or 4 in the morning, going back to bed for an hour or two nap, getting up and going to work. That was how crazy my life was, and I can tell you I am not the only person that did something like that. There was such an identity of World of Warcraft because they didn't have mega servers. When you signed into a server as a character, you got a reputation. People knew you. And whether you were a PvP champion or a PvE champion or the guy selling your materials in Thunderbluff or Orgrimmar, everything you did really identified who you were. And because the population has gone down and the game has shifted to mega servers, as people phase in and out of your game, you started to lose that sense of reputation. And I very distinctly remember going to Thunderbluff and seeing the same guy selling the same materials with his leveled up blacksmithing every single day. To the point that when I wanted him to craft something for me, I just gave him the mats. I didn't trade him for gold. I just gave him everything and said, here, can you build this for me? And he would. And he just knew that when he would, and I basically is like, hey, here's all my hard-earned stuff. But it just worked that way because I knew him. I wouldn't say I knew his name. I just knew the character avatar. He was there, or she really, every single day. And you just built a reputation with people. And I love that. And that is totally absent from multiplayer games today. You log into servers, even Warcraft today, with looking for group and the raid dungeon finder and all these other tools to help you get into games faster. You lost that personal connection, and I do miss that. And I think that's why games like Sea of Thieves resonate so much with me, because you gotta talk, you gotta type, you gotta communicate. You can't just let the game play itself. You have to play the game. And coordinating with a group of people to go to a dungeon and then figuring out how to get to the dungeon was an adventure in of itself. And it was a massive time sink, lest there be any doubt about that. You would easily log 5, 6, 7 hours in a session without a blink of an eye. I know a lot of people are like, I don't have time for that. And again, this game might not be for you. But for those of us who really like to give ourselves to something and build a community and build kinships and friendships with other people, Original Warcraft did that in spades. And there are still people to this day that I talk to on a regular basis because of the experiences we had in Warcraft. People I've met in person at Blizzcon saying, I remember raiding with you 4 or 5 years ago, and man, that was fun. These were just your brothers and your sisters from another mother. And I don't think you're going to get that kind of experience really with any other game. I think Warcraft demanded that. And people who willingly gave themselves were crazy, like me, but willingly gave themselves to other people and in return got that kind of friendship and kinship back. And we forged a lot of really cool bonds. And I do miss that. I think the game has grown up significantly. There are definitely a significant number of quality of life improvements that I think we can all agree are great, such as speccing and how mount systems work and how easy it was to get into matches. But the sense of pride and progression you had in your character, walking into Orgrimmar with a legendary drop that you earned, and everybody seeing it, because there wasn't transmogrification. If you wore it, you had it. Coming in with a cool mount because you did something unique. Or grinding and getting a rare title. These are all things that really set you apart from everybody else, and it really gave you a sense of online pride. We don't see that much anymore. We see a lot of quick matches. We see a lot of jump into a game, you jump into Apex, you die quick, bad drop, delete, start a new match, you're in a new game. You don't really have that sense of online identity like you used to, and I think Warcraft definitely brought out the best and the worst of a lot of us. I remember spending hours and hours in town trying to get together a raid to do a dungeon, slowly building up a team, buffing, and then marching our way across vast continents of space to get to a dungeon just for a chance to try to pull a mob or two to see if we could make it. That was the kind of commitment that people had back then. And not saying that people today are lazy. It's just times are different. But there's still a lot of us that enjoyed that. And that's definitely something that I enjoyed. So for that, I could totally see myself getting lost back into World of Warcraft Classic. And hell, just talking about it makes me miss it. And that's how much a lot of us just really enjoyed it. I remember going to my first BlizzCon meet and greet. I went with my then girlfriend, now wife, and meeting people that we had only talked to digitally for months and months and months and raiding. And just getting to meet them in person was just such a really cool experience. And it really brought the community together. And I think that's what made BlizzCon so special, was it was just such a natural extension of the World of Warcraft universe. And the pride that you had being an alliance or a horde like me, a member of the Horde, what that meant. And how that made you feel. And how that made you feel about people who weren't like you. And I know that sounds racist or sexist or whatever. It's not. My point is, it's a game, okay? My point is that you had pride for the Horde guys. And you stood up for each other. And you just didn't like Alliance because they were Alliance. They were the enemy. Look what they did to our cities. Look what they did to our king. How dare they? And when you would be being griefed, or you'd be in a server like me, Blade's Edge, which was prominently Alliance at the time, and we were just a small percentage of players on Horde getting thrown around every week. When we were able to manage and put together a good push and march into Stormwind and take out the king and get a cool mount, or win a big battleground, and just that pride, it resonated across the game and everybody knew it. It was really a lot of fun. It's just such a different time of gaming back then, and I really truly hope Blizzard can recapture that magic, and I hope that people are willing to buy back into it. I think a lot of people are initially going to be turned off by a lot of things that I said. They're going to say, oh, weapon balances, or, weapon grinding took too long. And man, it took you hours and hours to gain a level. Now you go into a raid, you'll pull 6 or 7 mobs at once. Everybody dumps some AoE and we move on to the next thing. No, back then, each mob fight was a boss fight in of itself, and it took a lot of skill and attention to detail in order to successfully navigate just for a chance at a final boss. And you probably got wiped 30, 40 times in a row, and you had a blast doing it. So I'm very, very excited for Warcraft Classic. I could totally see myself just sinking back into it. And I did pick up the collector edition, so I am going to get some the 30 days free game time, but I don't know. I might totally lose myself to it again, and it might be the game that I play. I will tell you that no game has had a grip on me like that game. Not even my beloved Shadow of the Colossus, which to me is the greatest game ever made. But I do think fondly of my times at World of Warcraft, and a lot of it has to do with, playing with my girlfriend and now wife, and just, the memories that we made, the gear that we got, the friends that we made, the experiences that we had. Just, it really was something special and something to be just, it's a part of us. And I think a lot of us, me, my age, mid to late 30s, we sunk our teeth into that because there was nothing like it. Now, there have been an infinite amount of clones since then. And there's no doubt that there is no shortage of throwaway MMOs or the infamous Warcraft killers that come time and time and time again. But, man, here we are 15 years later. Man, I'm an old man now. I'm in my late 30s, guys. I remember being a young 20-something stud. First job, lots of money, fast car, eating out all the time. Man, those were good days. And now look at what we have. Now we're old, we're fat, but we still got Warcraft. So if you're like me, you're probably going to embark on this adventure. And if you're not, and this just sounds worse and worse to you, well, you know what? God bless you. There's a big world. You can play anything you want. But I think a lot of us who sunk our teeth into stuff like that, we're very, very excited. And I can't wait for it. So we'll see what happens. And all I can say is I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was a nice little trip down memory lane. If you like this kind of content, please consider commenting, rating, and subscribing. And as always, for the Horde.